All right, today we're diving into a really big shift in audio storytelling. I'm talking about a world where you, the listener, are actually in the driver's seat. We're going to break down a platform called Twist that's making it possible for, well, pretty much anyone to build these complex, interactive audio worlds. So let's get started. So let's start with a question that really gets right to the heart of all this. What if your audience wasn't just, passively listening along? What if they were an active participant who could actually direct the story? Seriously, just imagine that for a second. For the longest time, that dream of true interactive storytelling, it's been locked away. It was really only for folks with super deep pockets and big teams of programmers. But what if there was a key to unlock all that potential for everyone? Well, that barrier to entry, it's finally starting to crumble. Okay, so before we jump into the solution, I think it's really important to understand the mountain that creators have had to climb to even attempt this stuff. Let's dig into the sheer complexity and cost that have defined interactive audio up until now. For years, the reality has been that if you wanted to make something more complex than a simple choose your own adventure, you needed some serious technical muscle. I'm talking custom programming, complicated audio pipelines. Basically, you needed a whole development team. And that's exactly why this format has been so niche, pretty much just for the big studios. And that whole tangled mess we just talked about, that is exactly the problem Twist was built to solve. It was literally designed from the ground up to create a totally new path forward. One that, and this is the key part, doesn't require a single line of code.
So what exactly is Twist? Well, it's a no-code game engine, and I think that combination of words is what's so fascinating here. You've got no-code, which means it's built for creators, not programmers. Then you have engine, which tells you it's powerful, it's systematic. And at scale means it's ready for real-world production. It's the whole shebang, a complete system from that first spark of an idea all the way to the final launch.
Okay, that all sounds great, but how does it actually work? I mean, how do you take a story that's just a script and turn it into a fully interactive experience? Let's break down that creation process. The core idea here is really a shift in how you think about it. So instead of staring at lines of code or, these crazy complex spreadsheets, everything is built visually right in your web browser. It basically turns your story into a dynamic flowchart, a living blueprint that you can actually see and mess with directly.
And the process itself is just as intuitive as it sounds. It's basically 3 steps. First, you create your scenes. Think of these as the individual chunks of spoken audio. Second, you add your decision points, right, where the listener gets to make a choice. And third, you just connect the branches. You visually link those choices to the new scenes. It's all drag and drop, and it really mirrors the way a writer's brain works. And this right here, this just illustrates that fundamental shift perfectly. I mean, on the one hand, you've got traditional audio. It's just a straight line, start to finish. But on the other hand, you have what Twist creates, this amazing branching tree. It completely transforms a static audio file into a dynamic, playable system with tons of different paths and endings. But it goes way deeper than just simple branching. Twist actually has powerful gameplay mechanics built right in. So you can do things like track a listener's decisions over time, you can manage how characters feel about each other, or even handle things like inventory. And the best part? All of this is just configured through simple menus. You're creating real consequences with absolutely no scripting. All right, so you've designed this intricate story blueprint, but how does that visual map actually become a finished audio experience that people can, listen to? Let's walk through that whole workflow, from production all the way to publishing. Now, one of the really smart things here is how flexible it is with audio production. Let's say you're working with professional voice actors. No problem. It'll export perfectly organized scripts, and then you just drag and drop the final recordings right in. But what if you want to move fast or just experiment? Well, you can use AI voices to generate the audio instantly. I mean, for rapid prototyping, that is an absolute game changer. And here's something that will save you a ton of headaches. You never have to wait until the very end to see if it all works. You can test your story at any point while you're building. There are live previews and automated checks that let you find and fix any weird issues with the flow or the logic or the pacing way early in the process. And that, of course, is just critical for making sure the final thing is actually good. Okay, but once your story is live, this is where things get really, really powerful. For the first time, people telling audio stories can actually make data-driven creative decisions. You can see exactly which choices are the most popular, like, look, path A is a clear winner here.
And maybe even more importantly, you can see where people might be dropping off or losing interest. Storytelling is no longer this black box. It becomes a measurable product that you can actually improve. And then there's the reach, which is maybe one of the most powerful parts of the whole system. The idea is you build the story once, and then you can deploy it pretty much everywhere. We're talking embedded on websites, inside mobile apps, through smart speakers, in-car entertainment systems, you name it. This lets you get the absolute most out of your creative work, putting it across tons of channels without having to rebuild it every single time. So when you put all of these pieces together, right? The no-code builder, the integrated production, the analytics, the multi-platform publishing, you start to realize this isn't just a small step forward. This is a fundamental change in how audio content can be created and, yeah, even how it's monetized. Think about what this means for different people. For game studios, this is a fantastic way to expand their IP beyond the screen, Keep fans engaged in that world between big game releases. And for publishers or media companies, it opens up a whole new category of interactive audiobooks. And for the first time, they get crystal clear data on what their audience actually enjoys. And really, that's the ultimate takeaway here. What Twist does is it takes interactive audio out of that zone of being a one-off, super expensive, high-risk project. And it turns it into a repeatable, scalable production process, something that creative teams can actually own and run with. There's a quote from the source material that I think just sums this all up perfectly. It makes interactive audio buildable by writers, the storytellers, manageable by content teams, the people who need to be efficient, and valuable for businesses, who, of course, need to see a return on their investment. So look, the technology that was once totally locked away, it's now accessible. The tools are officially here. And that just leaves us with one final, and I think very exciting question. What new worlds are you going to build?